Нашата конференция със всяка година става все по-международна и по-международна. Тази година вече имаме няколко участника и от Македония. Айде сега ви молам, сите от Македония, дигнете раката. Дигнете.
Ето там вляво има, вляво виждам. Ето.
Една звезда ми шепоти, дали си блесок, що постои. Фала, ви благодарам. Аплауз за нашите македонски приятели. Ако останете до края на вечерта, ще ви изпея някоя македонска песен. Аз обожавам македонската естрадна музика. Това е така лично откровение от мен.
Следващият ни лектор също е от Македония.
Gjore Zaharchev е Quality Assurance координатор в Seavus.
Завършил е техническият университет в Битоля, живее в Скопие и е роден в Кавадарци.
Известен е като най-добрия лозар и винар сред QA-ите и също така най-добрия QA специалист сред лозарите и винарите.
Участвал е в редица конференции, като преди броени дни беше в Рига, Латвия, където неговата лекция беше избрана за една от най-добрите на конференцията.
Днес Gjore е тук, за да ни разкаже как да тестваме извън очевидното. Вашите аплодисменти за Gjore Zaharchev! Успех!
Благодаря. Здрасти, аз ще говоря по-английски. Okay, English should be better. Do we have my presentation on the screen? Oops. I think now it's better. Okay, so to talk about testing beyond the obvious, I will need more than 40 minutes. Actually, I can talk the entire week about that. So first, before I start, let me introduce myself. My name is Gjore Zaharchev. I'm Quality Assurance Coordinator in Seavus. I'm responsible for the majority of the QA team for the bigger part of the QA team in Seavus. I'm also software testing consultant for more than 12 years. I'm also teaching software testing in Macedonia and Serbia. So I have some academies, software testing academies. Last year I had on the Niche University of Electronic Science. This year only in Skopje. I'm also speaking on some events. I have talked here in Sofia 2 years ago. Several events in Serbia, in different countries, and also in Macedonia. I'm also test automation and agile testing evangelist. So, because we had a bigger break, let me just wake you up. Let me just put some video. Let me just run the video. Where is the mouse? Okay, here is the mouse. Cannot see how to play it on the. It's a little bit. 1 second. Okay, now. Okay. So. I cannot see from the speaker, so it's a little bit difficult to run it. So here is a task for you, for each of you, to count how many passes the team in white makes. So this is the task for you. You should count now. Okay, did you count it? Yeah. Who counted 13? Who counted 14? Who counted the bear? So yes, there is a bear on the screen. This is the same thing with the testing. Watch the video till the end. So the correct number was 13. But did you see the bear? Yeah, you see it now. You can play the video. It's awareness test. You can find it on YouTube. Okay, let's continue with the presentation. Why we are running this video actually? So that's the question. The question is so it's pretty simple. We are doing the testing same like we watched this video. No one noticed the bear. We are just testing the obvious things, the things that we are asked to do. We're not testing the things beyond that. We're not testing the things that we are not seeing actually. It's very simple to test the things when you can see them. It's very difficult to test the things that you don't see them. And that's our job, to test the things beyond the obvious. Today we are going to talk about challenges, how software testing is done, testing beyond the obvious, and some summary of this presentation. So what are the challenges nowadays? The challenges are distributed teams. So we have teams all around the globe. We are not in one office now, like 10 years ago. We have teams in different time zones, teams in Australia, teams in the United States, in Japan. Everything is pretty difficult to have a communication at the same time. The other thing is we have faster time to market. We need to deliver yesterday, not today, not tomorrow, but yesterday. Unpredictable competitors. All of the applications, almost all of the applications, are competitors' applications. We are competing with someone to release something that is better for someone else. We don't know the plans of the competitors, they don't know ours. Maybe they know ours, but we don't know theirs. This is the problem. So we don't know what they're planning and how they will release and when they will release. Cloud solutions, changing from Amazon Web Services, Hive, Rackspace, we have Google Cloud and so many clouds. We have so many cloud systems. Increasing number of devices and platforms. Every day a new device is released. So we need to increase our coverage with more and more devices. We need to increase the coverage with combination of devices because someone in some country, if you search the usage of mobile devices and operating systems, not everyone is updating their devices. So we have different combinations for different countries. Even some carriers, mobile operators, they don't allow, because they have installed their own operating system, they don't allow updates like the Google versions. And the number of professionals is demanding. More and more professionals are needed, but actually the problem is that we don't have enough professionals. So we are hiring people that are not ready yet. We are hiring people that need additional education. This place is one of the places when, if someone is beginner, can learn something. How we are testing the things? We saw the video, so we usually test the things. You're a fruit and you're a nut. Which fruit, which nut, we don't care. And this is actually the problem that is arising. If you need to define something, you need to be precise. If you define just as a group of something, then we are in bad state. I have defined something of 6U1N of project failures. What is this? We have useless test process. We have so many companies that are starting to write and document some test process that need to be followed. Everyone blindly is following this process. Even the process is not suitable for the project that they are doing. Is this familiar to someone of you? Yeah, so there are numbers that someone is familiar with this. We are blindly following some steps, some rules that someone defined, and that is more than 15 years ago. I came to that situation when I came to Seavus 5 years ago, actually 4 years and 2 months ago. They had process defined 15 years ago, but by some manager who didn't even understand anything of the testing. And he defined process. And they're asking me to follow a process. which process was not appropriate for testing. Then project is starting. The first part of the process is to write a good strategy. People are spending days on writing strategies. And my question here it was, how often you're updating these strategies? Are you considering reviewing these strategies? Are you checking them on a regular basis? No, this is just if someone is asking something. But you're spending days. Do you actually need to do that? It's same with the test plans. Instead of doing something in half of the page or one-page test plan, they're doing documents and documents and documents of putting test plans. The same question is again, are you revising them? Are you updating them? No, if someone asks, we will use that. If someone is not asking, we don't care. But yes, you spent so many days to write that. Why did someone ask so far? No, but someone maybe in future, after 10 years, will ask. Who cares about 10 years from now? Then we have test estimations. People are doing estimations, and when starting practice, nothing is like that. We're talking not only about testing estimation, we're talking also about developer estimation. So, yeah, the definition of done is pretty clear. My definition of done is when the last defect will be closed, and I'm confirming that the software is ready, then done is done. Not when the developer pushes his code on Git or some other version control system. Then it means that some developer pushed something. We don't know what, we don't know how much testing we will need on that, we don't know how many defects we will have. Why we have these useless estimations? Then the other thing is useless test cases. We don't talk about test ideas. Test cases are step-by-step instructions. No one is updating them, they're outdated 5 minutes after they're written. They're not outdated in two weeks in the next sprint, but 5 minutes after they're written. Do you actually need to write step-by-step instruction? Yeah, but if some junior came, we are building softwares that are very user-friendly, we are building softwares that have great user experience. If junior cannot work on that application or someone else who is new, then our user experience is bad. We need to work on the user experience. It's pretty simple. We don't need step-by-step instruction and redundancy of that millions and millions of times. The maintenance is never done. And the last part, actually the last U is for useless test automation. Instead of automating the crucial stuff, the repeatable stuff, the regression, smoke testing, something that should be executed several times per day if you have daily deliveries, we are automating boundaries, we are automating UI stuff, we are automating some images. I've seen a very huge situation, very different situations. So the situations from company to company are different, because I'm also holding some trainings, in-house trainings for companies. When I see their ideas for testing, the hair that I don't have it is going up. This is a very huge problem. And the N stands for no testing techniques nor heuristics used. How many of you know about more than 5 techniques? Who has heard about heuristics? Oh, this is a good number. This is the first time that, that we have some good number. Usually, one people is only raising his hand. How to develop a good test, how to design good tests, or design good test ideas that will find defects beyond obvious. These are the questions. Why we are doing this way? Very simple. Because we like our comfort zone. We want to be in our comfort zone, and we don't want to exit of our comfort zone. This is the question. How to exit of the comfort zone. You will exit of the comfort zone for a moment, and then the fear zone is there. You're coming to your fear zone, and the process is getting back. Instead of going further, we are getting back to the comfort zone again. Yes, we did like that. It was working, and we will continue to do like that. If you go out of the fear zone, the learning zone is expecting us. We have a lot to learn. We cannot learn just by reading some materials. We need to learn just by trying the things, to see what fits. And then the growing zone. If we are learning enough, then we will grow. Then we will advance in our job, and we can do more work in less time and do better work. The other thing, a lot of people are talking about the exploratory testing book of James Whittaker, and he's talking about tours, if you remember, and people are imagining this image. Every European capital in this image, and people are just defining like that. This is what we are going to do. But if you came to Sofia, Bulgaria, you will not face this situation. Do you know why? Yes, you don't have a river, and that is the thing that I have discovered recently. Every city has a river, and my plan to visit Sofia several months ago, it was to find the river, to visit it, and Sofia does not have a river. This is the problem in the software. Not every software has the same features, the same functionalities. Neither the same software was built by the same team. Sofia was not built by the same people. Also, none of the capitals was built of same people. Only in Skopje we are trying to fake all the capitals from Europe, so we have the ugliest capital in the world. Then people are talking a lot about automation. Do you know the first victim of automation? This was the first victim of the automation. This was the first automation robot that we saw in our life. But does it finish the job that needed to do the job? It doesn't finish because it was not designed for that. So people a lot are talking about the automation, but automation, for example, in artificial intelligence cannot be applied. So if you have automation, artificial intelligence, then it means that you don't have artificial intelligence. You can predict all the steps. You can predict everything in these solutions, which comes to the conclusion this is not artificial intelligence. This is not machine learning, because you can predict everything. Another problem, or maybe the paradox of Trinity that I'm calling it, we have a big problem. Managers, developers, and executives don't understand testing, but they are talking a lot about testing, and they are telling us how to do the testing. The big problem is this: the testers don't know how to talk about testing. This is also another problem that I'm constantly facing and trying to teach people from my teams, that if you know what you're talking about, the client will understand you and improvements will be applied. If you don't know what you're talking about, no one will ever listen to you. They will consider that you're talking nonsense, and this is never applied in practice. And the biggest problem is most testers don't really understand testing either. This is the thing that demanding market, we are looking constantly for people, we don't have time to educate and train them. This is one of the problems. We are not investing a lot in our people. Someone will say, what if we invest in the people and they leave? What if we don't invest and they stay? It's a bigger problem. This is the problem that we have. Mahatma Gandhi said, knowledge gained through experience is far superior and many times more useful than bookish knowledge. And I agree definitely with him, because not everything that we can read will help us, will benefit us of getting experience and knowledge. We need to try the things. Even if we read now for heuristics, even if we read about testing techniques, even if we try pairwise, until we try several times and find cases where we can apply this, we cannot say that we know about that. The other thing that we are trying to do is that we are trying to evolve our process. We are not trying to change the process. The electric light did not come from the continuous improvement of candles. So we are trying to continuously improve the candle and get to a light. This is one of the problems that we are facing. Stop doing that. Try to delete the entire process, and start from scratch. Start something new. Come with fresh ideas. Come with something new, because the old one never worked, to be honest. How we are doing the testing? We are doing the testing above everything that is obvious, everything that is on the top. We saw that in the case with the video. So this is true. This video is also mentioned in Explore It book by Elizabeth Hendrickson, who is one of the people who invented the modern testing, let's say like that. So we are never testing beyond what is obvious. Maybe someone will go there, maybe someone will touch something, but again, we are sticking to the 3 or 5 or 10 test cases that we design, the test cases that are redundant, that are the same thing but copy-pasted 10 times. How to start changing the things? If someone has the power, just remember this. Skilled and motivated testers can identify majority of the risks as early as possible. We don't need to wait on the day of testing. We don't need to wait until it's too late, because the testing will start very late. The first law of software quality: errors equals to more code, and E equals to M multiplied by C on square. Let's see some useful heuristics of passionate testers. What do you need in order to be a passionate tester? You have the first step. Actually, the first step is going from the other side, but regardless. Participate in conferences. Start reading testing magazines. Improve your thinking skills. Start working on improving your thinking skills. Then live about testing. Do everything in your real life. Don't do testing only at work. Do testing even when you're sleeping. That will help you a lot. Blogging. You don't need to start from blogging from the beginning, but some other day. Start with networking events. Yeah, in Macedonia it's a little bit difficult to visit some networking events, but I assume in Bulgaria, according to this number of people, in Bulgaria you have so many meetups and networking events. This doesn't count for you. Practice, practice, and practice. In New York there is one hall, it's called Carnegie Hall, and the question is how to enter Carnegie Hall. The answer is simple: practice, practice, and practice, or you can take the tour. So you can either buy the ticket or practice, practice, and practice. Learning, reading books, spending money on testing workshops, do a lot exploratory testing, reads technical books of testing. You don't need to read also technical books because they're very interesting psychology books. Tester's job is not to detect defects, but instead to prevent them. This is our job. We need to start preventing the defects. It's pretty easy how to prevent the defects. We need to start thinking. About software testing first in our life, and then start applying testing techniques or test design techniques, their official name, or heuristics. So very interesting quote. If it's not our job to ensure that users get desired experience, we can't do that. We don't have the authority to do that. It's our job to identify ways in which they might not be getting the desired experience, to ensure that designers and developers and managers are aware of problems that threaten the desired experience. Everyone is testing what is obvious. Everyone is testing the desired experience. Everyone, even developers. But no one is testing beyond that. What will happen if I enter, I don't know, some number beyond the defined range? This is very important when you're doing financial softwares, when you're doing medical softwares, when you're doing even e-commerce solutions. For the websites, maybe it's not that, because it's not very complicated applications, so you have tools to run against broken hyperlinks, but it's very important when you have huge applications. There is one interesting heuristic. So for those who don't know about heuristics, heuristic is a rule of a thumb rule. So we know that our thumb is 1 inch. So we can measure with that. It started 17th century, something like that, to be used as a rule of thumb. So if we apply some common sense or logic that is beyond the reasonable solution, it will be a lot faster and will benefit with the results. We're thinking on solutions, yeah, let's write these test cases, let's do step by step, but is it going to help us to test that? Is it going to help us to reduce the time for testing? No, we are just going more and more and more and spend a lot of time without a need. San Francisco Depot, or SF Depot, is heuristic from James Bach. His brother is John Bach. So they're one of the representatives of the context-driven scholar, of the context-driven school. It is extended with another heuristic. That's why I'm not going to talk about the details about that heuristic. So this heuristic is about mobile testing. It's called CUP flag gun. So the acronym or the mnemonic is communication, orientation, platform, function, location, user scenarios, network, gestures, guidelines, updates, notification. I have worked several times with mobile testing, and the teams were bigger because we have more than 50 devices in order to cover the entire European market, Australia, and United States. And people never did these things. My first attempt to crash the application was while they were testing on their own devices. I tried to call them. Application crashed. They're forgetting about the obvious things, and we are focusing only on the things that are said by someone or written by someone, not the things that are important for the device or for the operating system. There are a lot of interesting ideas. This heuristic covers a lot of interesting ideas for testing. The other heuristic that can be defined is test heuristic for a Chrome web browser. So we have so many things that we are not covering on web application, but we need to do. Sometimes we are doing them unconsciously, so we are not even thinking what we are doing. Let's try this. But if we think on all of the ideas, if we write all of our ideas, if we write all of our ideas, or if we group them, we'll come to solutions, and we will come to lessons learned, what we need to start doing from now, and what we need to stop doing. Pairwise testing is also very good testing technique. There are also a lot of tools available. So if you need to get more details about Pairwise, just Google pairwise.org. You can find more than 50 tools that can be used for pairwise testing. What is pairwise testing at all? It's actually you're defining all your parameters with parameter values, or all possibilities of parameters and parameter values. If you have more than 8 or 6 parameters, 6 or 8 is some maximum that we can follow, try to limit maximum to 8 parameter values. If you come to more than 8 parameter values, you're facing to millions and millions of combinations. If you need to run this manually, you need to combine, for example, in order to have 2-pair testing, not going beyond that, 2-pair testing that is bare minimum and will give you almost between 80 and 90% coverage, which is huge coverage, more than the test cases coverage that we're doing now. Our current coverage I have measured in my previous company, and it was somewhere between 15 and 30%. This technique guarantees almost 100% by 2-pair testing, not going beyond. So we need to combine at least 1 pair of young and shabby, shabby and friendly, young and tax collector friendly, and tax collector shabby and tax collector. So at least 1 pair need to be passed only once. On that way, we are ensuring that we have enough coverage. So we have combinatorial model, logical model that help us to find more and more defects with less testing. Smarter testing. Maybe it's not less testing, but smarter. This is very interesting technique, but don't try to combine, for example, invalid parameter values. If you need to test, for example, username and password, it will be simple to combine valid user and invalid password combinations like that. But if you go beyond that and put invalid combination that will stop the flow here, and for which you need, I don't know, to test the data type attacks only, don't combine this technique. Combine only valid values, values that will continue the flow. Also here, session-based exploratory testing, applying cheat sheets. Who is applying some sort of a cheat sheet? Anyone? Yeah, it's very small number of these huge number of people. Combining, using cheat sheets, less than 10 people, it's a problem. What are cheat sheets? Cheat sheets are these papers that we used in university to pass the exam, if you remember, with very tiny letters. When you learn something, when you can apply that something somewhere else, try to put it on a paper. It will be useful. One of the most shared cheat sheets are from Elizabeth Hendrickson. The test cheat sheet published on Test Obsessed, so you can find it there. Applying testing techniques. There are a lot of testing techniques: boundary values, equivalence partitioning, pairwise, state transitions. You can use even mind maps as a testing technique. Do checklisting. Instead of writing step-by-step instruction, do checklisting. It's better, it's faster, and it will bring more results to you. Try the tours approach. If someone had chance, if someone didn't have chance to read the book, now you can read the book Exploratory Testing from James Whittaker. Use mind maps. Instead of writing the things, visualize them. Visualizing the things is helping you to make smarter decisions. You can use also UML diagrams like activity diagram or BPMN diagrams. The 7 commandments. Our priority is improving the business. We accelerate the team and use modules like lean thinking and the theory of consistency to help identify, prioritize, and mitigate bottlenecks from the system. We are a force for the continuous improvement, helping the team adapt and optimize in order to succeed, rather than providing a safety net to catch failures. So as we mentioned so far, our job is to identify and prevent the defect. If we are here just to find them, like the light joke that is the tester is here just to report the broken light but not to fix it, this is a problem. Until we have that mind, until we are thinking like that, we have a problem. We care deeply about the quality culture of our team, and we catch, lead, and nurture the team towards a more mature quality culture. If the process is not working, forget about the process. Delete that process, throw it in the garbage, start from scratch. 5, we believe that the customer is only capable to judge and evaluate the quality of our product. Actually, if you're working for a startup, this is actually false, because the customer invests a lot about the product. But if you're working for a huge corporation, almost no one cares about the product. They are just caring to fulfill budgets, to get some money, to spend some money, and so on and so on. 6, we use data extensively to deeply understand customer usage and then close the gaps between product hypothesis and business impact. We expand testing abilities and know-how across the team. Understand that this may reduce or eliminate the need of dedicated testing specialists. Actually, this is not going to reduce the need of dedicated testing specialists, because that need is increasing more and more. These 7 commandments are published on Ministry of Testing, so you can get from them. What we have learned? We have learned that the current testing process is not designed for the demanding environment in 2019. We have processes, we have approaches that are common for 2005, maybe even before that. What we need to start doing? Better testing can be achieved by highly skilled and constantly trained professional. Invest in the knowledge, try the things, not just go to the conferences, try to improve something by trying the things that you have learned. I don't know, organize some sort of event at your company and try to apply as many things you want from any conference, and try after that, try to evaluate that usage and how it was. Obvious defects can be noticed by anyone obvious defects can be noticed by anyone. Our job is to detect defects that can lead to better experience. Try to test beyond what everyone is doing. Because developers already did that, you are already doing that, the UAT team will again do the same. Try to do something that no one else will do in order to break the software. So this is my presentation. Are there any questions? Do you have question? Because I cannot see anything, so...
Ако имате въпроси към нашият лектор, може да ги зададете сега.
Дай това време. Докато някой се престраши за въпроси, също ви казваме, че и флипчарта се намери. Сега ще го сложим тук, който после си запишете за Lightning Talks. Има само 6 пота. Въпроси? Смело, задавайте въпроси.
Hello, I have a question.
Yes?
I'm new at my company, and the system is very complicated.
Mm-hmm.
How can I use those kinds of teachings and methods to quickly adapt to this system if it's very complex?
Mm-hmm. Okay, so when you have very complex system, you need to break it down in pieces. Because first of all, how we can break down everything, try to visualize it. Use some sort of a mind map. Try to define the major parts of the software. Try to see what is there. Try to find as many as possible contexts in each part. So we have, for example, context, this part is only usability testing, this part is only user interface testing, this part is only, I don't know, we need some calculation in database. Divide the ideas. Try to find as many possible ideas. If you have such system that is already built. If you are building this system from scratch, you have the ability to define these things on the fly, to define at the moment. Once you visualize everything, it doesn't need to be on one mind map. It can be on several mind maps. Define these things and then start for searching for patterns, commonality, what it can be done. Try to search for things that are in common for multiple parts. Link them with the same color, for example. On that way, you will better learn the system and find the separate context, the separate details, for example, what kind of testing technique to be applied, what kind of heuristic or which heuristic to be applied, or do we just need to run some cheat sheet against that? Based on that, you will have a better visualization and you can invent better test ideas. I hope that I answered. Or
Yeah, and one last question. How important is documentation on development and on quality assurance?
There is one definition that I have read and I strongly agree. A user story is a placeholder for conversation. According to me, it's better to discuss the things before even the documentation came. Sometimes documentation can be written after. So try to discuss all the things and try to come to the solution even before you write the documentation. Because if you write wrong documentation, bad documentation, then you will have bad testing. So try to discuss the things. Communication, communication, communication. Thank you.
Имате ли други въпроси? Ето там има още въпроси.
Има?
Да, има.
Thank you. What's your opinion, how the best way to provide actually the best communication between developer team and QA team? Because that's maybe the biggest problem, because if they don't talk to each other.
The best communication is natural communication, not forced communication. If you have forced communication that someone will, for example, the biggest problem that I'm seeing, tester does not have communication with developer, he is asking the manager, please organize me a meeting. If you come to that solution, that is not natural. You don't have the communication. You have a meeting that developer need to show up. But if you try to improve the communication by some natural, for example, try to find his, try to find what he likes in private life, learn why is his why the developer is so nervous, or I don't know when a defect will come to his end. So try to be very closer to him in order to understand him. Sometimes it's very difficult to understand the problem. Yeah, both-way communication needs to be natural. Try to find approach. Maybe it will require some psychological approach that will improve the communication, but never go with communication that is fake. Manager said that we need to communicate. That is fake. That will not lead to communication. He will be just present there, or he or she will be just present there. He will not do anything to improve the process. Will continue to do the same things. Thank you.
Hey, thanks for the good book. You mentioned that you teach at the start. I'm wondering how much of a benefit do you think formal education is in this field?
Sorry, I didn't understand the question.
You mentioned that you teach, I think, software testing or quality assurance. How much of a benefit do you think formal education brings to someone who is just starting in the field?
Is important. If you ask about the formal education, I think that it is at some point necessary because you're starting to develop your mind and you're starting to like the job that you're doing, but it's not crucial. It's important, but it's not crucial because I have seen people who studied law first, but they are now better developers than the developers who studied computer science for 5 years. So everything is from person to person. I haven't did analysis, official analysis, how much of which choice, but sometimes depends because you know now on the Balkan countries, including Macedonia and Serbia, we have very bad education. It's not like 20 years ago, but that education is pretty bad. That's why we tried to do these software testing and development academies, just to prepare the people for what they will expect in the next 40 years of their experience. Yes?
Много благодарим. Напомняме, че следващите въпроси може да ги задавате в залата за дискусии, релакс и масажи, където ще видите Gjore. Ти благодарам, фала, брате.